fans. This is Batman.
And Robin, the Boy Wonder.
And me too, Batmite.
Welcoming you to the new adventures of Batman. Watch us wage our never-ending battle of good versus evil.
Ride with us as we chase the greatest array of villains the world has ever seen, proving that crime does not pay.
Get set for thrills and action. Join me, Batman.
And me, Robin the Boy Wonder.
And Batgirl. And me too, Batmite.
In the super new adventures of
Batman.
Welcome back, citizens, to an all-new episode of the Batcave podcast. It's your old bat chum, John S. Drew here, and we're back in Gotham City, 1977 for the Filmation series. And when I say we, of course, I've got our old bat chum here, the owner, master of, from his own lair, coming to our Batcave here, of Comic Book Central, the man who all he wants to do is help, Mr. Joe Stuber. Hey, Joe.
Hey, John. That's all I want to do is help. The GCPD sirens are going off. I love hearing them because that means you and I are getting the call to join forces to talk about the new adventures of Batman. It's one of my favorite shows. So love it. Love that we're getting together again. We got to do this a little more often, though.
I know. It's
I'll tell you,
too,
right?
It's been finding the time. It's been everything going on but thankfully things are starting to settle down as we're recording this. In fact, it's the day that New York State is lifting all the mandates.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's getting. We're sort of moving into like almost normal again, but it's kind of not because there's still like so many different things that are out there. But one thing that is normal is getting together and podcasting. We're safe in our lairs. You're in the Batcave. I'm coming at you from the Comic Book Central. We're always safe in here, right?
Yes.
And heroes wear masks no matter what.
Yeah, I remember when that all started. That was one of the first things. All heroes wear masks, and they show Batman and a couple of others.
Right. Yeah, like Superman in a mask or something, and I'm like, all right, that's fine, hey, whatever works, whatever people need. But yeah, it's been some weird times, but you know what? It's just fun getting together to watch these Filmation series.
Mm-hmm. And we have a fun one here to kick off here our next batch of episodes, as we're going to be talking the Penguin in the episode Reading, Writing, and Wronging.
Yeah, classic Batman villain, and we're at the halfway point of the series right now too. This is 16 episodes. We're at episode number 8. Classic Batman villain. Always love seeing the Penguin. No Batgirl in this one though, so that's a little different. I kind of miss Batgirl in this episode.
Do you want to know something sad? I didn't realize Batgirl wasn't in it until I started watching the opening for the next episode we're doing, and all of a sudden they go, and me, Batgirl, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, Batgirl wasn't in the last episode.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
That opening doesn't work for this one. So.
No. I got to also be a little honest here, not a big Penguin fan.
I mean, like just overall or in this episode?
Overall, I'm not a big Penguin fan. I mean, certainly Burgess Meredith from the 66 series, he elevated the character.
I mean, come on. How do you not love that? That's got to be, a place in your heart there, though, right?
Absolutely. But when it came to, what they consider the upper tier Bat villains in the Rogues Gallery and such, I always thought Penguin was a bit of a one-trick pony. It was only Burgess Meredith, and I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the actor's name from Gotham. I loved his Penguin. Penguin has always been just that one trick. It's always about the birds. And in fact, actually, I just recently read a Golden Age Batman where Penguin finally realizes he's got to stop using the birds because it's too much of a tip-off. The problem is that they keep getting in his way anyway.
Yeah, and we see, like, even in this one, his lair, like, there's just birds everywhere. There's always the birds going on. Robin Lord Taylor, by the way. Yeah, it's I kind of go back and forth on the Penguin. Look, Joker's, obviously the gold standard of Batman villains, and Batman's got the best rogues gallery in the business. Him and Spider-Man. I think when you go at it, there's so many different variations of Penguin, though. I mean, Joker is. I mean, I know there's Heath Ledger, and they've gone in some different directions with him recently. But over the years, Joker's kind of been the Joker.
Right.
Penguin, there's so many, when you think the Danny DeVito, Tim Burton version.
Yes. Yeah.
That's that's so far off of what existed at the time. It's like this actual creature kind of thing. And then you mentioned Gotham, where it's where the comic books kind of moved, where, the sort of the crime boss type of thing.
See, I like that one better.
Yeah, so I think there's all these different versions. I think in the comics over the years, certainly listeners can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they've moved into that more kind of crime boss, or he was always like the owner of a club or something, or it was a different take on it. I don't know that I'm that crazy about him in this episode. Interesting. Written by Mark Fink. Mm-hmm. He also wrote a sweet joke on Gotham City, Sweet Tooth. Mm-hmm. He's got one more episode coming up, The Deep Freeze, of course, featuring Mr. Freeze.
Yes.
And as we mentioned, past episode, we tried setting up an interview with him. He was going to do it at first, and then he got back to me and said he wasn't interested. He wasn't really a Batman guy. I kind of get that from this episode. It's such a strange episode. And it kind of like the Sweet Tooth thing. I don't know what I would love to have him on the show to ask him. It was like, what was your deal with crime schools for kids?
Yes.
I think that was the weirdest thing.
Corrupting our youth.
Was that I guess, I don't know, that seemed to be like a thing in the 50s, I don't know, the 70s, but yeah, like another crime school. It's like I'm teaching Crime 101. Sweet Tooth did it, and now, Penguin's doing it. But these ones, Robin refers to them as kids. They seem a little older to me, though.
They do. Oh, yeah.
It's almost like young adults, or like maybe it was an adult evening course or something like that. Vocational course. Crime, I don't know. It's an interesting episode. It's not one of my favorites. I love the opening of it, though. It's a great opening shot of Gotham.
Oh, my goodness. That was one thing I was going to say, is that I love how they upped their game in the 77 series. They use the same models for many of the characters and stuff. Maybe they update them a little bit and such. But in the end, things like that cloudy Gotham City, just, oh my gosh, I loved it.
Students, the Penguins' School of Crime is now in session. And tonight's lesson is a highly important one, the classic jewelry heist.
But how do we get in, Penguin?
Elementary, my dear. With a woodpecker lockpicker. You and you will stand guard. Make certain the coast campus is clear. Yes, sir. The rest of you watch closely.
Yeah, it's a great opening shot. We've seen that in a few things. I think even in the next episode we're talking about, or it could be this one. I'm getting confused, but you almost have that 3D effect where they have the one animation panel in the front, mm-hmm. the other animation cell in the back, and then the camera. I don't know exactly how they do it, but it gives like this 3D out of focus effect that they do. Filmation's always a mixed bag, right? You get the reversed emblems, you get the missing emblems, but then you get these like really cool animated shots. It's so weird how they'd spend time and money on something and then not so much on the other. So
right,
but when it works, it's some of the best animation.
Absolutely, I totally agree. Just I would love a cell just of that shot of the city overhead with the cloud bank over it. I stopped and I was like, wow, that's 1970s cartoons.
Yeah, and the flashing lights and everything. And that's mm-hmm. the thing with these cartoons back in the day, is like there's no movement really. There's no people walking through Gotham City. Cars aren't driving. It's very static. So when you do get something like that, it's pretty cool. That's probably one of the best parts of the episode for me. I'm kind of, I always have it on the background. It's like we talked about the kids. Mm-hmm. I don't know. They're probably like 20, 19 or something like that, 20. But even like the design on them, did you get like it looks like the guys went to the Captain Kirk Filmation Star Trek School of Design or something? Their shirts look exactly like Captain Kirk, and the females, they have got the red security outfits on. I think. It's
the females actually look like they could be young versions of Uhura and Chapel.
Oh, yeah. So maybe there's a Star Trek influence on it. But not enough to name any of them. Like they're all like unnamed henchmen and henchwomen or students, whatever they are. But like mm-hmm. some of these, they'll name the bad guys or the criminals or whatever like that, or at least give them a name or something like that. These are they just don't even name them in this one. So it's kind of, yeah. The script on this one is a little lacking, but yeah, and it's so funny too, because this school apparently, quick learning curve on this school, because they start with like a jewelry store heist. Penguin goes in and shows them how to, steal jewels. And then they go right to taking on the dynamic duo. That's like lesson 2.
Exactly.
Aren't there some lessons in the middle there before you take on the greatest crime fighters of all time?
Yeah, if Penguin and the combined forces, if we're going with the united underworld of Catwoman, Riddler, and Joker couldn't do it, what does he think he's going to do with a bunch of kids?
I know. And a woodpecker too. That's how he breaks into the thing. He keeps saying, "Isn't it weird?" Like he kept the woodpecker, but it was a live woodpecker.
Yes,
in the bag. Yeah, the woodpecker lockpicker. Of course, that's how you break into jewelry. So he kept him in a bag. I'm like, how does the woodpecker breathe?
Our Flintstones moment.
Hey, Fred, look over there. Make a record of your voice. Hey, that gives me an idea, Barney. We could make a record for the girls, a sort of souvenir of their night out. Hey, that's a great idea, Fred. And every time they say, we don't take them out, we'll play it back to them. Okay, Barney, put the coin in. Put the coin in? Why is it I'm always the one that puts the coin in things, Fred? You bashful or something? Of course not, Barney. It's just that I haven't got any small change. Yeah, well, this is the 6th time today you didn't have any small change. Hey, how about that? The bird's got a long play beak. And why don't you go first, Barney? I don't know what to say. Oh, gee, Fred, I don't know what to say either.
Oh, brother, every customer the same thing. They want to make a record, but they don't know what to say. How about Mary Had a Little Lamb? Hickory Dickory Dock. The alphabet. Your names. Come on, fellas, I was taking a bath when you came in.
Well, hey, Barney, I got a good idea.
Yeah? What?
I'll sing.
Oh, no.
The girls will love it.
Oh, boy. I'll need more than a bath after this.
Start the record, Barney. Right.
It's like they were all, wasn't it like how they played records?
Yes.
Flintstones, or they would always do something in the kitchen. Yeah.
Oh my God! When he pulled that out, and he's like, "Here," and it's like, and it starts pecking away, and I'm looking at it, going, "It looks right out of a Flintstones." I expect it to stop any moment and go, "It's a hard living, but the fringe benefits are worth it," or something.
Always the cutaway, the little asides, yeah. And then it is this episode, the shot of Wayne Manor when you go through the gates. It's the out of focus, in focus thing. That's another cool thing. So visually, this is cool. But when we get inside Wayne Manor, just a strange moment. Bruce?
Not too much off the top, Dick.
Have I ever given you a bad haircut, Bruce?
Not so far. It's the bat signal. Let's go.
Bruce Wayne's a billionaire, right? At least.
Yeah, right.
But he has his hair cut by Dick Grayson?
That's how the Wayne family got rich.
True. That's a very good point. If you're not spending your money, put Dick to work. Because, even another one coming up, I think he's the chef, too.
Yes.
There's no Alfred. He doesn't pay Alfred in this one.
No. He
doesn't show up. So, yeah. Well, maybe Bruce hit some hard times in the 70s. There's an energy crisis going on. That always plays into these episodes. Maybe he's just like pinching pennies, right? He's like, I don't have enough money to spend, $100 on a haircut. Dick, go to work.
Now, let me ask you one thing here, though. Penguin has this thing where he's able to mimic Batman and Gordon's voices and stuff, so he's able to call Batman somehow and tell him he's needed. And of course, Batman. Oh no, he doesn't call. That's right. Batman calls Gordon because he sees the fake bat signal. And I thought to myself, now maybe I'm overthinking it here, but I'm thinking, wouldn't Batman realize that the bat signal is not shining in the right location in the sky?
I mean, he is the world's greatest detective, but yeah, it was kind of strange. That was my first thought, was like, wouldn't they have something worked out between the two of them that they know? Or maybe Penguin's little contraption that he came up with is really that good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a criminal mastermind, and he's teaching a class on criminal behavior. So If anybody could do it, it would be the Penguin. The communication device you mentioned, though, we always were familiar for the Batman 66 show where the bust of Shakespeare, they flipped the head open to the bat poles.
Right.
What was this? This is the first thing I'm seeing, unless I missed it in another episode or something. But there's like a painting, and he open, you flip the painting open. There's like a hidden thing, and it's a communication device. Do you know who's in that painting? I was trying to figure out who that's a painting of.
No, and this is the first time.
Listeners could write in or something. Okay, maybe I just missed it before.
Yeah, this is the first time, because usually when Batman talks to, at least so far, and in the next episode we'll see it, he doesn't have the proper red bat phone like Gordon even has in his office. He's got like an old fashioned phone that he talks on.
Yeah. So this, he flips this painting open, and there's a little hidden thing behind it. But yeah, if the listeners know, who's in that painting, I have no. It's man deep in thought. I figured it was some kind of philosopher or something like that, or But I have no idea. But bearded, and he's holding a book. I don't know. It was interesting. It's got to mean something. So one of the animators threw that in there for some reason. Yeah, and again, we get a lot of the bat vehicles. So they're heading out here, and we're getting into the Batboat. They're big on the Batboat.
Yes,
I know in this series. So again, toy line would have been very cool. And one of our favorites, Batmite, makes his appearance, and big jump into the Batboat, and Batmite gets a face full of bat butt.
Yes, see. I'm thinking, you know what? Probably in the 70s we cracked up and thought that's so cute or whatever and stuff. But now it's 2021. And not only that, just the way it's drawn, it's very disturbing.
I still got a kick out. I'm rather juvenile in that sense. So what cracked me up in 1977 is probably still going to crack me up in 2021. So I just thought that was such a, after all these, if you're not a fan of Batmite, and I would argue, look, we've said it all along, I think, Batmite gets, short shrift, no pun intended. But it's when you and I love him, and he does help. All he wants to do is help. And in many episodes, he does help. I think, though, if you're a Batmite hater, you could probably make an argument in this episode that he's not so helpful. This would be the one you might want to hold up and go, see, I told you, he really doesn't help at all in this one.
No.
And he's just really kind of screws up. So maybe that's why he got a face full of bat butt right off the bat. Maybe that threw him off his game. And there's no Batgirl in this one. So he's really thrown off his game in this one.
But we do get to see a lot of the Bat computer in this one.
Yeah, and the snarky Bat computer, right?
Yes.
It's always the snarky Bat computer. Hey, what did you think, though? Because you've got this Bat computer, and it's got it's sentient. So because it responds, it talks in real time, So for something so powerful and that could do so much, the Bat computer, are you surprised that they have these large filing cabinets full of paperwork?
Yeah.
I thought that. It's so strange because Batmite ends up taking a header into one of these, and there's I'm wait, why would Batman and Robin need paperwork? Mm-hmm. And why would they need to keep it? Do you not have a bat shredder and get rid of some of that stuff? And I think you could probably at the time digitize it in the Bat computer. But yeah, I love the Bat computer. It's got attitude.
Now, how familiar are you with the Batman comics of the 70s?
It probably depends on the storyline.
Okay.
I know they, with the Denny O'Neil and, Neil Adams, Ra's al Ghul and things like that, they took a darker turn, not as dark as 86, obviously with Frank Miller, but I think that was the movement from the 60s, because people always argue about that, the 66 series, it's not Batman. Well, it was Batman. If you read the Batman comics from the 60s, is exactly what it was. And then I think in the 70s, depending on what year you're looking at, it may or may not have moved out of that into the sort of darker Ra's al Ghul. But that's probably my biggest familiarity. I'd have to see the specific storyline, though.
No, well, the reason I ask is because I have to wonder because I noticed this in this particular episode, it really stuck out to me. A lot of rope swinging. And I had to wonder, was that, taking from the comics, or because 1977, we're about 10 years after Spider-Man, the 60s show is on, but It's hot still because syndication, I remember I was watching it every day, Channel 5 here in New York. And I wonder if they took a nod from that and going, hey, the kids like Spider-Man swinging. Let's have Batman and Robin do a lot more swinging.
Yeah, and don't forget, you also had like the Mego action figure line was huge at the time, and they looked very similar to the 60s, late 60s cartoon, and then this one. So you could always take your action figures and swing them around, because you could act out those things, even if you couldn't actually jump off a building yourself. You could act that out with the action figures, and I just remember like every puzzle and color form set and lunchbox and everything always had Batman and Robin swinging from the batarangs.
Yeah,
the batarangs, and then the toy belt, the utility belt, the toy. We talked about that on a previous episode. It had the batarang with it, so you could like sling it around stuff. So yeah, I think that was just a big element of the marketing of Batman and Robin at the time. Those images you always saw, they were always swinging around, some puzzles, and any Bat merch you could think of.
Yeah, yeah. I was also really put off when they do manage to capture Batman and Robin, that Penguin's deal with getting rid of them is to just send them on a boat to the South Pole.
That was crazy. And again, it's another one of these crazy episodes. And that might be why one of the things that jumped out at me was that. And then also how many, I didn't notice in the other episodes how many times Robin says holy, or Burt Ward says holy. And maybe because this episode is so weird with that, like going to the South Pole that you mentioned, but there were so many holies, and maybe that was a reflection of what in the world's going on. I got
holy delays, Batmite. You're holding us up. Holy chilly willies, Batman. Holy bats in the belfry, Batman. Holy highway robbery. Holy clip feathers, Batman. School of crime. Holy dinosaurs. Holy strange odors. What's that? Holy Benedict Arnold. Holy smoke bomb. I can't see a thing. Holy trap door. The Batcopter hatch is open.
And my favorite in the era of COVID.
Holy curb service. There goes the Batmobile.
I love that. So, yeah, it's Burt and Robin maybe having a hard time with this episode. So many holies coming out. Correct me if I'm wrong. Assuming Gotham is close to New York City or represents New York City, I think it's over 9,000 miles to the South Pole.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's a fair, yeah.
I mean, holy nautical nightmare, John.
And the entire time they do nothing but just stay on the boat till they get to the South Pole.
How long a trip that would be?
Yeah.
And it's almost like, and then Penguin's like, they get out of it with the bat skis or the bat. What are those?
Well, he said bat skis, but they didn't look like there was one big ski,
a big giant like tube thing. It was like if bat inflatable snowboarding or something like that with jets. Apparently enough fuel in these little skis to get them 9,000 miles back
yes.
to Gotham City, and in record time, like within minutes. I look, I guess when you're a kid, this show is built for kids, right? Sure. We had to realize that. Sure. I was probably 9 when I was watching this back in the day. I didn't know at the time how far away South Pole was. It just seemed like a place that was cold. It's not a great plot by the Penguin, but I guess because he's the Penguin, and it's Penguin and the Arctic, right? Or I don't know. I guess that's what Mark Fink was thinking when he wrote it. Well, I think he may have seen something about the South Pole on TV or something and went, all right, sounds good. Boom.
I had to wonder when they started pulling out the skis. I don't know why, but for some reason my mind flashed to James Bond and that infamous opening when Roger Moore is skiing and they start playing California Girls.
Oh, yeah, why. From A View to a Kill. I actually just watched that the other day, and I was like, and the funny thing is, that's such an amazing opening. Like, the Bond movies always have the little opening adventure or something, and it's so good.
Yeah.
The movie's not good, but that opening is so good, and the stunts and the helicopters and explosions, and you're right, he comes up, and they added that in afterward. I think the director was like, what? Like, why would you do that? And it's not even the Beach Boys, it's a Beach Boys cover. Like, it's right. It's not even them. It's like It's like the one they could afford or something. But yeah, that is kind of reminiscent of this. Yeah, I still can't get over how much fuel those things hold, though. And ultimately, so that doesn't work. So the Penguin has to come up with it, and they one of the hench women mentions
those bat skis and a lot of other things are operated from their utility belts. If we steal their belts, we take away a lot of their powers.
Brilliant idea, absolutely brilliant. Oh, I'm so glad I thought of that.
Well, first of all, they don't have any power. They don't have superpowers, but it all lies in their utility. But this was such a trope. I mean, you talk about like what was popular and thing. This was like the 66 series all the time, right? Like Joker, they were always talking about like stealing their utility belts, right? Mm-hmm. I think even Joker made his own.
He did.
Utility belt, Cesar Romero and that. This was such a thing, but it's like, Batman and Robin, yeah, they've got some gadgets in there, but they're still trained in like how many variations of martial arts and in crime fighting techniques and everything. It's like, I don't think they need their utility belts. But apparently you take them and they're powerless, right?
Well, that's the thing. You say that. And they act so powerless, and not only that, they manage to steal the Batmobile when they do get the belts with the help of an unwitting Batmite who thought he was actually helping by going undercover.
Yeah, that's why I say there's an argument to be made that he's kind of useless and that I'm tired of doing Batman's dirty work. He wants to be a bad guy and get rich. He's going undercover or something like no, Batmite. Yeah. Don't do that. Yeah. But wouldn't Batman and Robin have extra utility belts? Like, they only have like one costume in this show and one utility belt.
You would think there would be that, but even then, in the end, how do they stop him? It's with the help of the Bat computer.
With the Bat computer, yeah.
In the Batcave.
Yeah, the Bat computer steps up his game in this one.
Yeah. So it's gadgets again.
Yeah.
Because we can't do fisticuffs.
You can't throw the punch. I get, they are trained in martial arts, but I guess you couldn't display that in this one too. Yeah. And to Filmation's credit, we always talk about, the missing R's on Robin or the inverted, inverted insignias and stuff like that. To their credit, they at least from that point on where they lose their utility belts, they did draw them without utility belts.
I was impressed with that because it became a sort of thing. I just kept staring, going, and even little subtle things where they could have gotten away with it, like when
on
they're
the rooftop or something. Yeah,
or their backs to the camera while they're looking up at the Bat computer. I thought because it's so tight the shot. I said if they put the belt in there, I could almost see it. No belt.
Right. They did a good job with that because I kept backing up going, I know I'm going to spot a belt in here somewhere. Because you do that with Filmation. You're like, I just want to see where they screwed up. Sometimes you watch them so many times. But there's this thing eventually Batmite, he's still in his undercover role. He pops in on Batman and Robin and his Penguin gives him these flowers.
Yes.
It's almost like a Joker type.
I was thinking the same thing. Yep.
Plot of doing this.
With the laughing gas.
Laughing gas. The one cool thing I do like about this, Ellen, is hearing Adam West reacting to Batman being high on laughing gas.
Holy strange odors! What's that?
Batmite, is this another one of your jokes?
Because if it is, it sure isn't funny.
No, it certainly isn't. Batman. It's no joke. It's laughing gas. The Penguin's up to something.
Stand by, class.
That's pretty cool. I like that. And does it seem, Lenny Weinrib, obviously doing the Penguin in this, does it seem like he slips into a British accent every now and then?
Every now and then, yes.
Okay,
yes.
You got that too.
Yep.
It's weird. It's like the Penguin voice. Why wouldn't you just do Burgess Meredith? You had a perfect, he was such a perfect mimic too.
Yeah.
And this is supposed to be a follow-up to the 66 series. So, again, I don't – this – in a series that in it of itself is strange, in many occasions. This one's a really strange one. There's so many weird things going on in this one, but it does keep you occupied. There's enough weirdness going on. There's a couple of little nods too to other Batman's stories and stuff. One not intentional at all because it hasn't happened yet, and the other one to the past when Batmite is told by Batman, you can fix everything if you just bring them to the Batcave, and we'll take it from there. There's that bit with the whirlpool. Yes. Now, there is a whirlpool in the Batcave, according to Batman number 48, The 1,000 Secrets of the Batcave. Okay. So that got written in. I liked that aspect of it. I thought that was cool, like all these hidden things. But he didn't wipe their memory when this was all done. Like, that's a really bad plan to lure them to the back. Because the trope on the 66 series was there would always be like bat gas. They would like spray and then they'd be knocked out and they take him to the Batcave and like, how did I get here? Or somebody would, I think King Tut one time tunneled his way in. Yes. I think, they found like this like tunnel with the cart and blew through. But then he had amnesia or got knocked on the head, the bonkus on the conkus or something, and he couldn't remember how to get to the Batcave. But they didn't do this one in here. So Penguin and all the henchmen and women, they all know how to get to the Batcave. They all know how to get to the Batcave, and as we've established with the establishing shot, you've got the Batboat entrance underneath, you've got the Batcave entrance middle, and then way up top on the cliffs is Wayne Manor. Right. They had to have seen it. Pieces together. Right. Yeah. You have to know that Batman is Bruce Wayne. Yeah. It'd be pretty easy to figure that out. I would have liked some sort of, throwing them off their game or something, or maybe they all, use the bat gas, right? Like at the very end, just go spray them all and then they can't remember anything. So I don't know. I think they could have just thrown that in. I think that would have been a nice element that, yes, I lured you in. We got you in this giant cage that just happens to be right there. But the bat computer knows exactly where to. Maybe those bars that the cage comes. Maybe they're all over the place. The bat computer can control them. Or I don't know, but it would have been nice to at the end to just go, okay. And my plan is for you not to remember any of this, and to just go to prison. But I don't know. It's a really strange episode. Classic villain. This isn't one of my favorite episodes. Again, unnamed henchmen and women. It's just the odd thing of the crime school, but we did get the Penguin, and we did, there's a few funny Batmite moments. There's a few funny Batmite moments and such, and I mentioned, I said they didn't do it. I should have said, but I was hoping for a Bat Belt face-off, because at one point Penguin's wearing both belts. Robin is able to get his belt back, and I thought when Penguin said, I've got, things still here, I thought maybe like in the first Return of the Cape Crusaders movie when they did their Bat Belt face-off, Batman throwing things and Robin throwing things and stuff, I thought maybe Penguin and Robin would go at it, but no, instead, Batmite's helpful. He appears and grabs and disappears, Yeah, I think at some point he had to be helpful, because you can't just have him completely, there has to be something where Batmite comes in and does something, and that's what they do. He comes in, just pops in out of nowhere and steals the belt back. But why couldn't he have done that like before? Anyway, I don't know. It's very strange. We get to see the Bat Torch. It is used. They have the utility belts. They did use something from it, which is good, because if you're going to make a big deal about utility belts, you should use something of it. So we get the Bat Torch, but that's kind of like that one. I don't know. That one seems like overused to me. Mm-hmm. I bet always have the Bat Torch, so it breaks them out of the bars and stuff. But it's an okay episode. I'm just gonna give this one an okay.
And now these messages.
Once when I was eating my alphabets, the beast from the swamp tried to get me. Oh no, what'd you do? I ate him. Good thing I had my alphabets. Post-alphabet cereal's part of a balanced breakfast. Yeah? Well, once when I was eating my alphabet, a Martian tried to get me. Oh, no. What'd you do? I ate him. Good thing you had your alphabets. Yeah.
These kids are playing with Mr. Quarterback, the automatic football passer from Coleco. To start the action, set the timer, choose the pass you want, cock the arm, and get ready. Hut, hut, run your pattern. A perfect pass
the automatic football passer, you can run all kinds of pass plays. It's fun with a whole group, one-on-one, or even by yourself. Mr. Quarterback from Coleco.
Fisher-Price presents The Adventure People. Toys for your older kids. There's the Northwoods Trailblazer, ready for his adventures. Or the Daredevil Skydiver, to go as high as a child can toss him. And the TV Action Team, to play with on its own, or with any of our 13 other Adventure People toys. The Adventure People and their TV Action Team comes complete as shown. Other sets sold separately by Fisher-Price.
That message. The Penguin really had us going today, didn't he, Robin?
I'll say, especially when he nearly flew the coop.
Well, now his school of crime is out for permanent recess.
Too bad his students had to find out the hard way that getting something for nothing always has its price.
What do you mean? You get my services for nothing.
You're wrong, Batmite.
We pay dearly.
Finally, we get the Bat message is never like really a message.
Yes.
We finally get a Filmation worthy Bat message. Yeah, we learned something. Getting something for nothing always has its price.
Yep.
And that's the thing. You can, and then look, Robin tells us at the beginning of every episode, crime does not pay.
Mm-hmm.
Burt Ward tells us that. Well, that we actually have a Bat message. So you can apply that to so many different things in life, right?
Yeah.
If you get something for nothing, you think of like pyramid schemes or something, or, there's always a cost to something, John. Nothing comes free in this world.
But
except podcasts.
Except podcasts.
Free podcasts.
Well, even podcasts. I mean, you could offer it for free, but it costs us. Yeah.
Yes, that's true. But for the lovely listeners out there, it's free of charge.
Right.
Go share and subscribe. That'll help us.
There you go. Exactly. And rate and review.
Rate and review, share and subscribe. Yes, all those things. Pay us. With something.
The R's and the S's of podcasting. Rate and review and share and subscribe. There you go.
That's the price. That's the price you can do. You don't get something for nothing. All right.
So, okay, then, as we come to this episode, to the end of it there, before we go, let's talk a little bit about Comic Book Central and what's happening over at the Lair.
Oh, I love talking about Comic Book Central. I think, look, since the last time you and I got together, I've been able to put together a bunch of Swamp Thing episodes. So if people love the feature films, Swamp Thing, the Wes Craven 1982 film, and then also the follow-up, the sequel, Return of Swamp Thing. Talked to the director of that one, Jim Wynorski. Reggie Batts from the original Swamp Thing. Derek M. Cook joined me. He kicked things off he's from Monster Kid Radio. We kind of reviewed both films. Daniel Emery Taylor was here. Frank Welker, the great Frank Welker. We talk about animation.
Yes.
Does it get – look, there's Mel Blanc. I think there's like Mel Blanc and Frank Welker, right? Is that fair?
I would even say at this point, at least for modern, Tara Strong.
Yes.
Yeah.
You build up that resume, but it's just like there's like sometimes there's nothing these folks can't do or imitate. So I got a chance to talk to Frank Welker. Look, it's Raiders of the Lost Ark's 40th anniversary this year. I did get to ask him a Raiders story because he does the monkey voice.
Yes.
Evil Monkey in that. Scooby-Doo, of course. We talked a lot about that. Another Scooby-Doo guest coming soon. Original Scooby-Doo, talking, original Scooby-Doo, just like Frank Welker. So your listeners could probably figure that one out. Cress Williams, Black Lightning himself.
Yeah.
He stopped by the Lair. Tom Cavanaugh plays Harrison Wells in Reverse Flash on The Flash. And James Brolin, Hollywood legend James Brolin, stopped by. He narrates Sweet Tooth. Both of those last two interviews, those are on the YouTube channel as well. I was able to get a video version of those. So I put those up on the YouTube channel. And speaking of Filmation cartoons, I'm getting on such a Tarzan kick right now. I welcome Scott Tracy Griffin. He's the author of two incredible Tarzan books out there. And we jumped into the history of Tarzan. I'm like going back and watching all the movies and the everything, the serials. And I got the Filmation season 1. They've only released season 1. I have no idea why. 2 through 4, hopefully on the way. But I'm getting into a lot of Tarzan episodes right now. So keep an eye out for that on Comic Book Central. So yeah, lots of great stuff, lots of anniversaries, lots of cool guests hanging out the lair.
Very cool. Very cool. And that all happens at comicbookcentral.net, your central location for all things comic book.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And just love chatting comics over there and love chatting Batman 77 with you here on the Batcave podcast.
And we're going to be talking some more coming up on our next episode. I don't know. I'm surprised Marvel didn't just sue the pants off Filmation, because we're going to be talking about, we had Electro before and now, and this one even gets the title, The Chameleon.
Marvel's Chameleon? Wait. Crossover? We know late 70s DC Marvel crossovers, right? Superman, Spider-Man? Is that what you're talking? Like, did that happen?
That didn't. Not with this chameleon. Not with this one. He's a chameleon of a different color, I guess.
A lot of colors. He's got a lot of colors. And he's cool. I'm sorry. I like these sort of original. I don't care if they rip off the name or whatever. The Filmation did some cool original character. You love some Moon Man.
I do. I do.
Here's spoiler. I love me some Chameleon. So we're going to be chatting about that. It's a pretty cool episode.
It is. Well, we'll get into it. Let me save it to my overall thoughts for when we get there. But it is a cool episode, and he is a cool character, even though, as you say, he took the same name. So
not points for originality on the naming, but points for originality on the concept of the character. Let's put it that way.
Correct.
And a nice misdirect. There's a little teaser there. Nice misdirect in this, and this gives the listeners time to go back and watch that episode, and then certainly weigh in with your thoughts. Right into John and tell us what you think of these episodes. Are we way off? Are we is our passion too strong for some of these episodes?
And you can do that by either commenting on our Facebook page, writing us at thebatcavepodcast@gmail.com. We're on Twitter at Batcavepodcast, or you can head on over to thebatcavepodcast.com. So stay tuned, folks. Stay tuned, as I'm not only getting back into the studio here with Jim Beard and Dan Greenfield and, of course, Joe Stuber, but I'm also getting back in with Joe Crow, Robert Long, and Kevin Eldridge. We're going to be covering all those shows that we started talking about before the pandemic hit and things slowed down, and we're going to get back into it again. Jim Beard and I with Batman 1949, Dan Greenfield and I with the 66 comics, Kevin Eldridge and I with Electro Woman and Dyna Girl, Joe Crow and I with the Monster Squad, and of course Robert Long and I with our look at those really bad Batman homage movies that were made. We've got some good ones lined up, including a possible interview with one of the filmmakers. We're in talks with him about that. He's excited about it. We just got to plan a day for it to all. Again, it's all about the timing, right, Joe?
Oh, it's all about the time. Where do you find the time? I don't know where you find the time. You have to need a time machine and go back in time and do the Electro Woman and Dyna Girl. I so love that show.
Yeah,
love that you guys are taking a deep dive into that. So
yeah, we're having a lot
fantastic.
of fun.
It's such a goofy show, and the voice of Aquaman, he's in there live action.
Yes, he is. So, folks, stay tuned for that. Stay tuned. We will be back very shortly with a brand new episode. Until then, citizens, Joe, take care, everybody.
Take care.